What if this Christmas Santa couldn't show up? What if the hero wore hooves instead of boots? The snow fell gently over the quiet town, blanketing everything in white. Christmas lights twinkled, but something felt off. The streets were too silent. The joy seemed dimmed. High up in his cozy cabin, Santa sat in his chair, coughing and feverish. He couldn't move, let alone deliver gifts. For the first time in history, Christmas was in danger. In the stable nearby, Robbin, Santa's loyal horse, shifted uneasily. He wasn't like other horses. Robbin had always sensed when something was wrong, and tonight the air felt heavy. He watched as the elves whispered nervously, their faces pale. Could it be true? Could Christmas really be canceled this year? In a small house at the edge of town, 14-year-old Jim lay in bed, pale and frail. The soft glow of Christmas lights outside his window was a stark contrast to the heavy silence in the room. Jim had been fighting cancer for years, but this winter felt different. He was weaker than ever, and hope was slipping away. His mom sat beside him, holding his hand and silently praying, tears streaming down her face. The doctors had said there was one medicine, a miracle drug, but it was far beyond what they could afford. Jim's voice, barely a whisper, broke the silence. "I just want one more Christmas, Mom. What would you wish for if you only had one chance to ask?" Back at the North Pole, Santa sat in his workshop, weak and bundled in blankets. The elves gathered nervously, reading through the long list of wishes. But one wish stood out, Jim's plea for a miracle. Santa's heart ached as he read it. He knew he couldn't let the boy's wish go unanswered, but Santa was too sick to deliver. His sleigh sat untouched, and time was running out. Then his eyes fell on Robbin, standing strong in the corner of the stable. Santa nodded. "It's up to you now, Robbin. This mission is yours." The twist? Robbin would have to go alone. No sleigh, no reindeer, just him and the medicine. The snowstorm outside roared louder, and the elves whispered nervously, "Could a horse really save a life in the middle of a blizzard?" Robbin stepped out into the howling snowstorm, his breath forming puffs of mist in the icy air. Strapped to his saddle was the precious medicine, a lifeline for young Jim. The storm was fierce, the cold biting, but Robbin pressed on, his hooves crunching through the deep snow. The journey was treacherous. Ice-covered paths made each step a gamble, the wind pushed against him with brutal force, and eerie shadows flickered in the dark. Wolves, perhaps, watching from a distance. At one point, Robbin stumbled on a hidden patch of ice, his legs slipping out from under him. The medicine slid dangerously close to the edge of a frozen creek. Heart pounding, Robbin steadied himself and nudged the medicine back into place. But the storm grew fiercer, and the path ahead seemed endless. Will Robbin make it in time, or will the storm win? As Robbin trudged through the blinding snow, his strength began to waver. The storm was relentless, and the path ahead was unclear. Just as he hesitated, a faint sound broke through the wind, a soft howl. Emerging from the shadows, a pack of stray dogs appeared, their eyes glowing with determination. At first, Robbin stood still, unsure of their intent, but instead of attacking, the dogs circled him protectively and barked, as if urging him to follow. They led him to a hidden trail, a shortcut, but it was treacherously steep and narrow, lined with jagged rocks and slick ice. Robbin hesitated. The dogs, however, pushed forward fearlessly, guiding him step by step. The question hung in the icy air. Why would these animals risk their lives to help? Was this a coincidence, or something greater at work? The suspense grew with every step, but Robbin knew he had to trust his newfound allies. The clock was ticking, and Jim's life depended on him. Back in the quiet town, Jim lay in his bed, his body weak from the relentless battle with cancer. His family gathered around him, faces filled with worry and sorrow. The Christmas lights flickered softly, but it felt like the world outside had lost its magic. Jim's breath was shallow, and his eyes were heavy with exhaustion. With a trembling voice, he whispered to his mom, "Do you think Santa heard me?" His words hung in the air, fragile like a last hope. His mother kissed his forehead, holding back tears. She didn't know what to say. They had no money for the miracle drug, no way to save him. Time was running out. The clock ticked louder, each second more agonizing than the last. Hope seemed to slip through their fingers, just like the Christmas magic fading away. What happens when hope seems lost? Would Jim's wish ever come true? Or was this the end of his story? Robbin's hooves crunched as he finally reached the outskirts of the town, exhaustion weighing on him. The storm was still fierce, and the end was near. But there was one last obstacle, a wide, frozen river, its icy surface shimmering under the pale moonlight. Ahead, he saw the bridge, but his heart sank. It was broken. The gap between the two banks was wide, the ice cracked and jagged. Robbin knew there was no way around it. The only way across was to leap, an almost impossible jump. Every muscle in his body screamed for rest, but the medicine, Jim's last hope, was still strapped to his side. Robbin took a deep breath and charged toward the edge. With a powerful leap, he soared through the air, his hooves barely catching the other side. He landed hard, a sharp pain shooting through his leg. The medicine stayed safe, but Robbin was injured, his strength fading. Can he still finish the mission? The question echoed in his mind as he struggled to rise. The storm howled louder and time was running out. With one final burst of strength, Robbin stumbled through the last stretch of the town, his body aching, his spirit nearly broken. He could see Jim's house up ahead, just a few more steps. As he reached the doorstep, Robbin collapsed, exhausted, his hooves barely able to hold him up. The door swung open and Jim's family rushed out. They froze in shock, eyes wide. A horse? Carrying medicine? How was this even possible? Robbin lay still, the precious medicine still safely secured. As the family hurried to help, they opened the vial and gave Jim the medicine. Slowly, his breathing steadied. Moments later, his eyes fluttered open. His family gasped in disbelief. Jim smiled weakly and whispered, "I knew Santa would send someone." The town, overwhelmed by the miracle, gathered in the streets, their hearts filled with warmth. Christmas was saved, and the story of a horse who became a hero would be told for generations. Weeks passed, and Jim's health steadily improved. His family was overjoyed, but Jim knew the true reason he was still alive, the miracle he'd received. Grateful and determined to share his story, Jim became an advocate for hope, inspiring others to believe in miracles, no matter how impossible they seemed. The town, forever changed by that Christmas night, gathered to honor Robbin, the true hero. A statue was placed at the town square, a tribute to the horse who had saved a life and rekindled the spirit of Christmas for all. As the years went by, Robbin's legacy lived on, and every Christmas, the townspeople would gather around his statue to remember. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a bright star appeared in the sky above the barn where Robbin had once rested. It shone brightly, as if marking his eternal place in their hearts. Was it luck, faith, or something else that brought Robbin to Jim? What do you believe?